Hey, welcome back guys. Today in this video, we are going to look at one more functionality, which is removing an item which I have already added in cart. This was required so that I can manipulate my active order, add items, remove items, and also I figured out that my previous video, what I did was about adding items to the cart, right? That had a small bug. So I'll first show you the application which is on the current commit, what the functionality is. Let me quickly log in. By the way, you can go to this URL and check this entire application because the API is obviously hosted, and thing is, because the front end is hosted on Vercel, you will automatically be able to get that app on this public URL. Now, if I go to this laptop page, add to cart, if I click over here, this is visible, that's fine. Now, if I add this to the cart, click here, can you see this mouse didn't come through? If I refresh, obviously this is coming. This is something which I didn't paid enough attention in my last video, and hence in this video I had to rectify that. So let's see what I have done first of all to get that functionality in place. So inside my localhost application, if I go to my cart, I have laptop. Now if I go to mouse, add it to the cart, click over here, I can see this is immediately visible. I can add one more. For example, let me add the hard disk. Click over here. And the third item is added over here as well. So what have I done? Let us go to the my card page, which is inside pages, user, my card, index.tsx. Let's go right at the top, and you can see I have made some changes. First of all, I took the router using the use router hook, and we already had a use effect which was working on the data, but the GraphQL query using the Apollo client, right? This use query hook also gives us one more function called refetch. So what I am doing is using this router, I'm looking for events, and whenever there is a router event on this particular page, I call this refetch function, and this refetch function will take care of calling this query again and updating the data. And because that data is inside use effect, any change would mean that the component will re-render itself. So that was the first level of change, and that resulted in my cart page automatically updating whenever there is a new product added to the cart from anywhere on the application, because it is basically making one more API call. Okay. The next thing is this remove button. Obviously, I need a cursor. Let me quickly add that. Class cursor pointer. This should give me, yes, this hand thing. Now, if I click on, let's just say this laptop thing, can you see my cart got updated? If I go to home page, come back to my cart, I can still see that. I can remove the mouse as well, and everything automatically gets calculated basically, and the entire recalculation happens because I'm querying the data again, right? So this is taken care of, and one more small change is this formatting. So let's see how that is done. So for the query of removing an item, it's a mutation. If I go to the playground, go to docs, the second mutation over here, if you see, is remove order line. It takes the order line ID. Order line ID is nothing but the ID from the active order query. So once we have this mutation, I am taking that function as remove. Okay, this is my query over here, the mutation query. It expects an ID, runs the remove order line query, and passes the ID. And this function is getting called over here on click of this remove text. That's basically this particular thing. Let me add one more product. Right? So when I click on remove, on click of remove, I'm passing the line ID. That's exactly what is required. So this function over here, what it does is it takes the ID, it sends that to the function to run the mutation with the variables ID as ID. Okay, this is as it's equal to this. So I can do this shorthand, right? And then whatever was done, right, it will refetch. So with these two things in place, I'm able to get the entire functionality. And the last bit is, okay, before we go into that, I think it is always a good idea, like this function which I created, right? I could have added that, where is it? Oops. Right. I could have done something like this. Over here, I can do the entire code, because I'm just calling two functions one after the other. But the thing is, it's always difficult to debug these because it becomes more like an anonymous function. But if there's an error, it will become a bit difficult to debug. Whereas if you execute a function, then what happens is if there is any error, if there is any exception thrown while the execution of that function, right, you will at least know the name of the function. Okay, and that's why I typically prefer writing a function rather than doing that anonymous thing. Okay, right. Now, about the formatting of these numbers, I have created one more function inside my utility service called number to currency. The intl function, or rather the class, right, it gives us the number format function, which takes this is a string which maybe denotes the currency that we are going to use, or maybe not. This is the language because it is international intl, right? So internationalization. So it will take the language first, then it defines style as currency. Now this is something which I took from Stack Overflow. I will try to give you the link as well. So style is currency, currency is USD. Let me see what happens if INR is added. Okay, it gives you a rupee symbol as well. So that's really a nice thing to have. But right now, because everything is in dollars, right, I did a USD and it returns the amount in a formatted way, so which is a string. Maybe I can do something like this as well, right? And that is what I am printing over here. So if you see, I'm sending the unit price, the total with tax over here as well. So where is it? This is the unit price, the product variant price, the total, and total with tax. And also because this is expecting always a number, right, I'm also passing 0 if this number doesn't exist, which will generally not happen because I have a check over here. But still, for the function to properly pass, right, I needed that. So yeah, with all these things in place, what I can now see is that my code is ready to commit. I have added the ability to remove items from my cart. The cart is displaying properly whenever I'm adding a new item to it without refreshing the page. That was the bug which I figured out, right? And obviously, removing calculates everything and the numbers are now looking a little more better. The next thing which I'll have to do is again a refactor from my end, but I'll need to change every instance where I'm showing the price with this formatter so that I have consistency in showing the numbers. The commas and everything will come properly, and that also allows me to make it generic enough so that tomorrow if the currency changes, I'll just need to update my utility function and every place will automatically update itself. So yes, thanks for watching guys. If you like this video, do click on the thumbs up icon. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And if you have any questions about this video or any other video from this series, feel free to comment below and I'll try to help you as much as possible.